Hey guys, it's Marta. Today I wanted to share with you my rose pruning routine and to share with you some rules that I follow to get more blooms and to get overall healthy plants. You can see that I look different from the other video because suddenly the spring has come and it's warmer. The first flowers started blooming in our garden. Here I can see just like this far from me are the first crocuses. I think this is pickwick. It's one of my favorite crocuses. The bees came to the garden and they are feeding on the flowers. I just love this when it gets warmer and the first color appears, and in the next weeks it will be more and more colorful, but the first flowers always make me very happy. Some of the roses are already pruned. How many roses do I have in my garden? I think I've lost count over the years. Somewhere between 100 and 200. There are always new ones I really want to grow, and I try to push them in the... I don't have that much space, so I'm always trying to push them to the limits because our garden is surrounded with high birch trees, so we don't have that much sunny position. So I'm always trying to grow a lot of roses in the containers, and I'm trying to put them in semi-shade and see if they bloom. A lot of people find roses difficult, and I was one of them. I was afraid that they will get sick easily, that they are prickly, they are difficult. But then I tried my first rose, that was Bonica, and it was so easy to grow. And then I was like, maybe I will get more. Then I got another one, it was Chopin, and it was also easy to grow. And then I had this event in my life that I had a really difficult operation of my spine, and I had a lot of time to think because I was stuck in bed for 6 months. And then I had this dream of an English garden, and this is how roses came to my garden. But then this year I put like 50 of them in the garden, and now I follow very few simple rules, and I don't find them that difficult. They bloom amazing, and the scent in the garden when they all bloom is overwhelming and beautiful, and I think they add incredible interest to my garden. So what are the rules that I follow? First, when to prune your roses. A lot of people say prune your roses when forsythia bloom. I don't follow that rule. I look at my roses and I look at the weather forecast. If the buds on my roses start to swell and they are getting bigger, and I look at the weather forecast and I don't see freezing temperature for at least a week, I go and I start my pruning. Because I have so many of them, I need to do it for quite a long time because I can't get it done in one day. Second rule of pruning, always use good quality sharp secateurs and try to clean them between each rose, because if one is sick, you will get the disease on the other one too. Third rule of pruning is using the 3D method, or rule, the one that I was using on hydrangeas, and I use this rule on all of my plants that I prune. So this is the 3D, dead, diseased and damaged, and I always start with that. If I see any dead, this is the first ones that I prune. Then diseased. Diseased means that they had some kind of sickness, and damaged. Damaged means that probably they were rubbing on each other, some of the stems, and they are usually damaged by that. Or maybe you had heavy snowfall like we did this year, and some of the branches are just damaged by that. So to those 3 Ds, I would also add the crossing ones. If you have stems that are crossing and they will be rubbing on each other and they will be damaging each other, then you need to take one out so it doesn't happen, because roses, as you know, they are very prickly. So damaging those stems it will happen. When I'm pruning my roses, here we have Queen of Sweden. It is an amazing rose, and it is very healthy, and it gets through winter almost without damage. This year she I would say, or it has some damage, but usually she is one of the healthiest one in my garden. A beautiful rose for cutting flowers. It has very long stems. It doesn't bend. Really, if I could say which one is, people always ask me, which rose is your favorite? I don't have a favorite one, but this one is on top of my list. When I'm pruning, I'm usually taking 1/3 or a half of the rose. I will cut it back because then I will have a nice round shrub. It will not be too high and it works for me. Sometimes when the stems are damaged, it will mean that I will need to reduce it even more. But a lot of people get stressed. How much should I prune? Is it half? Is it 1/3? There is no wrong answer. If you do it both ways, they will bloom. You might get just a bit different results. Rose is very forgiving, and even if you don't do anything to it, it will bloom. But if you do it the right way, it will be healthier and it will have more blooms. So when I'm pruning, I'll need a set of gloves. I hate working in gloves, but with roses, it's needed. So thick, good gloves, then a secateur, and sometimes this one, it's two-handed secateur for those thick stems. The dead ones, they are usually there. It's normal that the older stems will die with age, like everyone. Each one of us, but it happens. This is why we prune. We want prune. We want to rejuvenate our plants. We want the stems to be new, to be fresh, and to bear our flowers. So don't stress out if you come in the spring and you see some of the stems dead. You just need to prune them, or maybe you should get like 100 or 200 roses, then you won't stress that much because you have so many plants to bloom. This is my way of dealing with the issue. Okay, I will start with the dead stems. They will be brown, white inside, and they will be definitely different from the other ones. So you need to cut them to the base or to the ground, depending on how it grows. Try not to damage the green ones that are next to it. Sometimes it's quite difficult if they are growing very close to each other. So this is an example of a dead stem. It bloomed last year, so no one knows what happened. I don't care anymore. I just cut them off and go on with my pruning. So after I remove those, I'm also looking for leaves. I never leave old foliage, and that is the next rule that I use with pruning my roses. So after I remove the definitely dead stems, I'm looking for diseased ones. I will cut one and I will show you how it looks like. It's also rubbing on another one, so I will cut it hard to the healthy stem. Okay. So this stem, the main one, looks really diseased. It has discoloring, it has brown, it has been damaged. These stems look pretty healthy, but when I see that there are other stems that are healthy next to it, I will cut it back hard, because this will spread and it will go to the other stems, maybe not this year, but the next one. So I'm trying to prevent that, and I'm cutting really hard back, but not to the ground. It will form new stems, but then the other ones, the new ones that are growing next to it, they are so much healthier. If there are a lot of stems next to each other, the flow of the air will also not be that good inside of the shrub, and then we have the risk of fungal diseases. So it's good to leave only the healthy stems, like 7 of them. It will be overall much more healthy. There is a rule in pruning that you should cut above the bud that is facing outwards, like this one here. And it's fine, but sometimes if I want to cut and I don't see the bud on this level that I want to cut, and it's like lower, I don't follow that rule, and the rose blooms just as nice. So if it happens, that's great, but if it doesn't, I don't really care. And then I'm just trying to give this shrub a nice round shape, and I'm pruning. Usually if I have like here, I have some branching, I will cut above a first or second or third node, so it just looks fine. I don't follow the rule, just I need to cut above the first node. No, it just needs to look overall like a nice round shrub. Okay, how do we cut? Do we cut at an angle or do we cut straight? That is always the question. So I've been following a lot of rose gurus, and I've seen that in the recent years the theory says it doesn't really matter. You can cut on a straight angle, you can cut at an angle, it doesn't really matter. So I just cut the way my secateurs go. Sometimes it's slant, sometimes it's just straight. Okay, so I think that this rose is that, nope, one more. Then when I finish all of them, I always come back and see if I've missed something. But it doesn't really matter if you miss something, nothing will happen. I always get, on my Polish channel, I always get a lot of messages with people that are so stressed. Is this the end? No, nothing in a garden, it's not the end. You need the gardening to be less stressed. And I think people are, there are two types of people. One type is like, goes with the scissors near to the ground and cuts everything, and then is like, whoops, I think I've got my mop head hydrangea, will it bloom? And no, it won't. And then there is the stress kind, people that are stressed about even the slightest cut. I wonder which group you are in. Write me in the comments. Okay, the last rule, and I think it's one of the most important ones, is to remove any foliage that is on the rose. If you have a mild winter, you might have some leaves still on the plant, so we need to remove all of the foliage. Not only from the plant, but from below the plant. If any of the leaves fall, you need to take all of them out and dispose them. Don't compost them. They will probably carry some pathogens, and they will be a risk to our plant. I think it's one of the most important rules that I have in my garden, to dispose all of the dead foliage, and then I compost with I mulch with fresh compost, and I think this makes my roses quite healthy. Of course, they get black spot, but they get it late in the season. It's not huge. They don't defoliate. Maybe just few of the leaves fall off. If I see it, I also remove them. But overall, they look really good through the season. So I think that following those rules might get you the healthier plants. So as you can see, Queen of Sweden is, I think, 1/3 shorter, but I think she will be blooming like crazy. I even gave her a younger sister. As you can see, there is a shorter rose there. It's younger, I think it's 2 years old. I just needed more of those flowers. They are really pretty, and I love them in my, I cut a lot of flowers from the garden, and I make bouquets, and I bring them to the house, and I think it's one of the best perks of having your own garden. Okay, so I'm off to work, 100 or even more to go. Let me know if you have roses. Do you have a favorite one? What colors are your favorite? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next week.